The grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid." Dear friends, today is a difficult day, and we are here united by a common sorrow, a common affection, and a common hope. We have come together to give thanks for the life of Raymond. We have come here as family and friends and neighbors to remember the ways that his life touched ours and to entrust him into the keeping of God. We have also come to share the sorrow of those who mourn. We come to offer them our love and support. And we are here to bear witness to our hope in Jesus Christ, who said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." So with faith in Christ, let us lift our hearts up to God, that the Lord may bless us with strength and peace as we celebrate the life of our dear friend, Raymond. The first hymn that Raymond chose for today is hymn number 651, "Guide Me, O Thou Great Redeemer."
Guide me, O thou great Redeemer, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of heaven, bread of heaven, feed me now and evermore. Feed me now and evermore. O then thou that crystal fountain, whence the healing stream doth flow, let the far and cloudy pillar lead me all my journey through. Strong deliver, be thou still my strength and shield.
A reading from Jules Massenet. I have departed from this planet, and I have left behind my poor earthly ones, with their occupations, which are as many as they are useless. At last I am living in the scintillating splendor of the stars, each of which used to seem to me as large as millions of suns.
Come to my heart, Lord Jesus. Teach me to walk in your way. Come to my heart, Lord Jesus. Come to my heart today. Give me the peace and joy that only you can bring. Come to my heart, Lord Jesus. Give me a song to sing. Fill me with love, Lord Jesus. Teach me to walk in your way. Fill me with love, Lord Jesus. Fill me with love today. Give me the peace and joy that only you can bring. Fill me with love, Lord Jesus. Give me a song to sing. Answer my prayer, Lord Jesus. Teach me to walk in your way. Answer my prayer, Lord Jesus. Answer my prayer today. Give me the peace and joy that only you can bring. Answer my prayer, Lord Jesus. Give me a song to sing.
Hello, I'm Simon. I'm Raymond's, well, as he referred to me as number one son. I like to think that's by rank, but it's probably by order. I'm reading from Ecclesiastes, verses 1 to 8. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep, a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, a time for peace. All go into one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. And I like to think with Dad, he always found a time to entertain, and rarely a time not to entertain.
Hello, I'm Gavin, Raymond's youngest son, also lovingly called his number one son. I'm assuming he's counting from the bottom up there, but Simon and I will figure that out afterwards. But I'm here to read a poem Dad wrote. So for those who may not know, Dad grew up in a home with his mother, his grandmother, and his two brothers. And so as a teenager, when his grandmother passed, he wrote this poem I'll share with you here today. Why this thought, as I sat there and naught could do but watch and bear the pain as she lay gasping, dying? The voice of reason crying, is this the end? The future holds no more. No more amid the temporal blasts of winter's death, the joy of memory of summer's day, of pleasures interknit with love. Life's pattern, worked with mortal sway, ends. This is the debt we all must pay. Man may strive, surmount, aspire, achieve through life's enabling fire, the conquest of ambitions, dreams. And yet how hopeless it all seems as she lay dying there. A story told one winter's day of one poor soul who'd passed away. The sky was gray, the stony road, a slippery stream. As faithful friends, through mire and clay, their grudging load bore towards the cavernous abyss. Reverence, they said, we've come this far, to take her on lies in thy power. What is this heaven, this place of bliss? Is there a place to consummate the dreams and hopes of faithful souls whose rejecting life's temptation hate the sins and wrongs they perpetrate and feel themselves inadequate with God himself to mediate? Is this not man's own manufactured means of escaping from reality to dreams? I know not yet this truth I own, that in life's span of 80 years within us lies the power to show a helping hand, a smiling face, the grace of kindly word to stem the widow's tears. Our lives with other lives entwine, and though we face the world's malign, our task is clear, both yours and mine. The good we know thereof, the seeds in others' lives to sow, and thus, through time's eternity, herein our immortality.
Our next hymn is number 676, Jesus, Lover of My Soul. I have sat with my computer open for the better part of a week with no words on the page. And I'm certain many of you here share similar feelings when you try to think of ways to summarize Raymond. He also told me I only had 5 minutes. So I felt that my words then needed to be carefully chosen because, as you know, in his work and in his life, words and their meanings were important to him. The last time I visited with him, he said, "Let me guess what you might say." And he listed off a few things, and he was absolutely right. But even then, it barely scratched the surface. I don't know about you, but I always enjoyed my conversations with Raymond, and they were often as wide as they were broad. It could range from the recitation of a poem like Father Gilligan, move over to some discussion around education, and then he would go and dig out a favorite church rhyme or joke from a folder, and then we would dive into something incredibly serious. I often heard him before I saw him on Sunday morning, either his laugh coming down the hallway or his voice in conversation or song. He kept the choir on their toes and was fond of a little mischief. One Sunday during Advent, rather early in my time here at the Kirk, he offered to do a piece in our service about St. Nicholas. And I almost fell out of my chair that Sunday morning when he approached the pulpit dressed as a bishop. That was an impressive hat. It is forever one of the liveliest services I've ever been to, and I think will always rank among my all-time favorite. I also appreciated how he was straightforward in conversations, willing to speak truth, to show genuine interest in issues, and always asking questions. He lived his faith in very real ways and was kind and compassionate to others when they needed it. And none of these even touches on his work as a legislative counsel or his tremendous gifts for theater, music, sports, and particularly rugby. His love for Valerie, or as he so often called her, my good lady wife, and his family were always at the top of his mind, and you could tell how much he loved them and how proud he was of all of them. And I don't doubt that over the years, Valerie's patience and good humor have pushed her as close to sainthood as any we can imagine. But one thing I know to be true today is that we are going to miss him deeply, and we feel his loss. It may come as no surprise to you whatsoever that Raymond put together the service today. All of it. And Ecclesiastes was the passage he chose. And Ecclesiastes 3 is a wonderful reminder of the cycles of life with its ups and downs. It gives us permission and strength to live in the moment, to laugh and cry, to hold on, to let go, moments to keep and moments to throw away. Like seasons change and tides ebb and flow, life moves us on. And today is our moment to both hold on and let go, to laugh and cry, to remember and to lift up everything Raymond was in our lives. The things that he taught you and shared with you will live on through you. And I know that Ecclesiastes assures us that there is a time for everything. But I always go back to what someone wise once told me, that sometimes when difficult things happen, it can feel like a time out of season. And losing people we love always feels like a time out of season. We are never quite prepared. And that is why it's important as friends and family to have this time together, to hold these stories, these memories, this grief together as a community, and to share laughter, as Raymond so often shared with us. And he truly demonstrated how to live life through ups and downs, with a sense of humor and humility. And today we share in these things together as we remember and celebrate the amazing person that he was and the ways he changed our lives. We hold those memories as precious and continue to carry them with us. We hold the stories on the storyteller, the laughter and the poems, the jokes, the questions, the wisdom, the love, and the kindness that was Raymond in our hearts. And as he dubbed it, the final production that he put together for us to remember him by was carefully chosen to reflect his life and the things that were not only important to him, but also the things he wanted to leave with us. The bright clothes he encouraged us to wear speak of his love of life. These things will be with us forever. And may the best of him continue to shape and encourage the best in us. I want to close my part. I'm checking the time here. Someone from the church here wrote something after Raymond passed away, and I'm just going to read a few selections of it called A Rugger's Bequest. The rain pelts the pitch in soft reverence. To a familiar voice, returned to spirit, called home from the touchline. To those you fiercely loved, in the tri-zone, your voice still clear, echoing comfort and guidance in moments of uncertainty and fear. The lessons you taught in years gone by, paid forward in halves through time. Years from now, when we gather together, we will say, remember in 1977, when a community was forged and generations of kids found belonging, in the heart and soul of a game reawakened, this Rugger's bequest of faith and love, the essence of collected grief. Today, the bell tolls in remembrance of all you were and all you did. For a determined leader, a congregation bows their heads, and a choir of voices sing you to sleep in the arms of his amazing grace. Today, a blazing soul we lay to rest. Amen. I'll now invite Rebecca to come forward.
Since the boys set it up for me, I'm Rebecca, and I am Raymond's favorite daughter. Only daughter for those of you who don't know. I have the honor of reading a poem called Remember by Christina Rossetti, which was one of Mom and Dad's favorite poems. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far into the silent land. When you can no more hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go, yet turning stay. Remember me when no more, day by day, you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me. You understand, it will be late to counsel then or pray. Yet if you should forget me for a while, and afterwards remember, do not grieve. For if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that I once had, better by far you should forget and smile than you should remember and be sad.
Once again, Gavin and my lovely wife, Kristen, will be just going through some recollections here. And I wanted to start off by thanking everybody for coming here today. I I know that Dad would be so honored to have a full house at the final production here. And again, the strict 5-minute time cap was imposed on here, so we won't go on any further here. So my grandfather, Dad's dad, passed away when Dad was 6. This led Dad to prepare for his own untimely passing. He's been orchestrating this funeral, or what he called his last production, from a young age. The script was almost completely set, and Dad was the star, producer, musical director, but we get the final edits. We've taken the liberty to eulogize in our own somewhat grammatically inferior manner. His footnote was direct. Dad did not want people to pontificate upon the podium. In fact, his direct quote scribbled in handwriting was, "I prefer not to have recollections from any present. If the congregation didn't think I was a nice person, they wouldn't be there." So they don't need convincing.
Raymond's running joke with me was that I was only reasonably adequate. So I can only hope that my interpretation of his personal memoir notes is just that, reasonably adequate. If any of you have tried to read his handwriting, though, I figure that I can use that as an excuse. In the beginning, in Northern Ireland, Raymond, the youngest of 3 boys, was as a quiet and unobtrusive child who got all the hand-me-down bicycles and toys. He was somewhat sickly as a youngster and was content to occupy his own little world. He did not share his brother's love of fast cars, sleighs, or bows and arrows, and was content to be a follower. Nevertheless, it was clear that he had an acute intelligence and a very good command of language, which enabled him to produce what teachers and examiners were looking for. Later in life, even giving them what they might not have been looking for. He once edited a school syllabus of Rebecca's and sent it back to the school principal for them to adjust with what he thought was more reasonable. After Gavin's poetry exam at high school, at parent-teacher interviews, Raymond questioned the poem used, wondering where they had found this unmitigated drivel. The teacher had to confess that he had written the poem himself. His intelligence and love of language was well suited to his career in law, not in the courts, but as a parliamentary counsel, a man who writes the statutes for the politicians. He said it would have been outrageous to allow them to write the laws themselves. He took great delight in anyone who could flex their linguistic muscles and match his sesquipedalian propensities.
Often called a Renaissance man, Dad had many interests that gave him a life full of variety and untold joy. But these interests paled in comparison to his one true love, Valerie Moore, or as he called her, my first wife. They met at the church youth group when Valerie was 16. Years later, they married and ventured off to Bermuda together with little more than a trunk and 100 pounds to their names. While he was known in many circles, at his core was the love and devotion he gave Mom. She has supported him, and they shared a perfect duet. In Dad's own words, "It is Valerie, with whom my heart and I have been in love with for 60 years. They shared a love of theater together for 6 years. He had the privilege of being in the professional theater, doing up to 70 performances each season in the Confederation Center of the Arts. In total, Dad has been in over 100 different productions. One of his more well-known roles was as the minister in Anne of Green Gables, whom, if you recall, led the congregation in various activities at the church picnic. This role came naturally to him, as anytime Dad came across 3 or more children together, he was quick to organize an egg and spoon race. As a result, the Moore grandchildren are ready to clean up on the ribbon count on any church picnic.
His theatrical antics also became well known in our own neighborhood, as each Halloween he would cover candy duty so that Gavin and I could go around with the children. Very quickly, word spread of the free entertainment happening on Pembroke Crescent. And neighbors and friends approached us, asking who was working our door. It turned out he was in entertainment mode, as the family often calls it, stealing candy back from children, tossing treats into the yard for the older children that he didn't feel had shown enough effort in their costumes, or simply baffling children by overcomplicating the process of trick or treat. He had a way of charming everyone, including children. Our own daughter said, "I always loved how he called us horrible little sprogs. It always brightened up my day." We can't talk about Raymond without speaking to his love of music. Not the mainstream top hits. In fact, one time when the neighborhood kids, apparently in their childhood, were dancing to the 90s hit of "Everybody Dance Now," his hearing caused him to interpret it as Jimmy took his pants down. After that, they encouraged him to stick to his classical music. He maintained a love of choir and music, and this influenced the family deeply. The entire family performed in Handel's Messiah, traveled the world with choir, and even had a son go on to win an East Coast Music Award.
Not this one.
It was woven into his everyday life. A former colleague said he was a wonderful boss, and yes, he did sing at work. If you were ever in the spa in the 1980s, you would have heard him singing, some call it bellowing, from the hot tub, not so shockingly alone. On a trip to Montreal, at an upscale Italian restaurant, the violinists played a classical opera piece that Raymond recognized. He didn't hesitate to generously allow the musicians to accompany him while he sang, much to the delight of the musicians and the embarrassment of his teenage children.
He said he was not a great athlete, but good enough to play on the first 15 rugby with his brothers and to play badminton for the province of Northern Ireland. His main claim to fame in PEI was the resurrection of the game of rugby, which had been abandoned for Canadian football in the 1950s. So many recall him as the bearded man with the striped knee socks on the sidelines, regularly coaching individual players. He was instrumental in reinstating rugby in PEI and has been referred to as the godfather of rugby. His efforts were recognized by the PEI Rugby Hall of Fame, and he'll soon be inducted in the PEI Sports Hall of Fame. Even last week, when the Mudmen played the St. John Trojans and dedicated the game in his honor, they noted that the wind changed at halftime to favor the Mudmen in both directions of play. No surprise, he's still helping the home team and any chance he can. Ultimately, Dad's life was about bringing joy to others. Whether it was entertaining children after church by eating a dog biscuit he found in his pants pocket, or in his final days, using his last bit of energy in the hospital to entertain nursing staff with song and lines from theater.
Through the stories that have been shared this past week, it was clear that anyone who met Raymond was awestruck. You didn't forget meeting him. You loved his humor, were dumbfounded by his rhetoric, and challenged to meet his expectations. Finally, to quote Raymond's notes, he trusts that when seeking St. Peter's grant of admission through the pearly gates, he will be forgiven for his compulsion to entertain. I think everyone here would advocate for this admission. Thank you.
divine petition, pierced with cruel anguish through and through. So that grievous for a lost condition, pleading, they know not what they do. Was love, what was love, in love's divinest feature, in love's divinest feature, passing all that dark and murderous part, finding in forbid no fallen creature, though they slay thee, though they slay thee, one redeeming spark. Yet, and still, thy patient heart is yearning, with a love that mortal scarce can bear. Love in pity, deep, divine, and burning, liftest in for me, in for me, in for me, thy mighty breath. So thou pleadest in for my transgression, bidding me look up and trust and give. So thou murmurest thine intercession, bidding me look up and trust and live. So thou pleadest, yea, in your that, yea, in your that, for my sake forgive, for my sake forgive. Forgive, forgive.
We had teased Raymond if his service got much longer, we'd have to offer an intermission. But we didn't reach that point. Although after the service today, you're most welcome to meet with the family in the hall for a reception afterwards. All are welcome. And I just hope that these memories and this laughter and this love goes with us. Good night, sweet prince. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.